country's international logistic performance is dependent on the extent and modernity of its trade facilitation reform. Mainstreaming digital technologies in trade facilitation reform is not merely an obligation for most countries, but it is a necessity. A recent United Nations Global Survey on Digital and Sustainable Trade Facilitation indicate a lag in adoption of information and communication technology solutions by governments. Organizations, big and small, public and private, are now working together with different stakeholders in the global supply chain with the objective of creating a clear, concise, and transparent framework of trade facilitation to align multilateral expectations. Hello, everyone. I am Reggie John, and this is Logistic Tech Dialogues presented by Kale Logistic Solutions. This is our new weekly dialogue on innovations and technologies that make logistics move faster and deliver better. Logistic Tech Dialogues is brought to you in partnership with Kale Logistics Solutions, a trusted global logistic IT solutions provider for several Fortune 500 companies worldwide. My guest today is Amar, Chief Executive Officer of Kale Logistics Solutions. Amar, with close to 25 years of overall experience working with various companies, joined Kale Logistics Solutions in 2010 as Head of Product Strategy and Business Development. 5 years later, he became the CEO, and since then, he has been leading a brilliant team of professionals at Kale Logistics Solutions and working with global customers of varying sizes and helping them to implement digital transformation strategies. Amar joins me to discuss the future of freight in the digital era and how Kale Logistics Solutions is positioning itself as a reliable and credible partner to companies in delivering transformation in global logistic industries. Amar, welcome to Logistic Tech Dialogues.
Thank you, Reggie. And I must say, you guys are doing a fantastic job with Cargo Masterminds and Logistics Tech Dialogues, and keep up the good work that you guys are doing. Thank you for having me here.
Thanks, Amar. Let's talk about digital adoption, which has been at its peak in the last 18 months during the pandemic across all industries. How hectic has been the pace of enhancement of your product portfolio and creation of new digital solutions for the logistic industry?
Last 1.5 years, so like 4 or 5 years of technology delivered packed into 1 year or 1.5 years, right? The overall adoption of technology, because people were working from home and we still had to keep the air cargo or maritime cargo for that matter moving, meant that we necessarily had to give away the old ways of working, and we had to figure out that things which were not done digitally prior to pandemic will now have to be done digitally, and that was a humongous opportunity. So we at Kale Logistics actually helped a lot of our customers. We identified, we looked at the areas for which people have to look at manual operations, or people have to move physically to a particular office to get a few things done. We looked at some of those processes and then looked at what kind of technology interventions can actually facilitate this. Can they do all of this sitting in their homes or wherever they are? And that actually led us to several innovations for the industry. So over last year and a half, I would say our products have improved more than what they have done in last probably 3 years, because we looked at the need. The customers also came back with their specific needs. So I'll instead of speaking at a 50,000 feet level, I'll give you concrete examples. So there was this whole issue about issuing certificates of origin, and for that, people had to go to the chambers offices and get those certificates by making payments there and stuff like that. And during lockdowns, it wasn't possible. So then we kind of had, this offering where sitting in their homes, they could get these certificates issued by paying online to the chamber. And what was actually a 9 to 5 activity, the time in which the chambers work, actually turned into 24 by 7 operation. And, with the kind of relief material flowing, this need of having certificates delivered in an expedited manner was quite essential. That is one example. The other one was on the delivery orders or electronic delivery orders. So on the maritime side, or even for on the air cargo side, people had to go to the airlines offices or shipping line offices to get the delivery orders, make the payments and get the physical delivery orders. Now, in the pandemic times, it wasn't possible, and we moved the entire process online. Again, this virus stays on paper for up to 72 hours. So we looked at different ways of, removing paper so that we eliminate the chances of spreading of the virus, and in line with that, we came up with several paperless initiatives. We looked at whatever paper was left in the air cargo operations, and how can it be completely eliminated, and we kind of came up with several offerings. Last 1.5 years I've seen us evolve so many different use cases of digitization that a lot of our products actually took quantum jump.
Amar, let's come to your portfolio of solutions across air, sea, third-party freight forwarding, community, and trade facilitation. Give us an overview of the customer addition that happened across all your solution portfolio in the last 18 months.
I don't think people know, as much about us as what you just mentioned, right? So we are actually, a company which is focused on providing technology to the logistics industry, and our vision is essentially to integrate all these different stakeholders of the supply chain through digital platforms, which is the community platforms. And the other part of our vision is then to empower them with enterprise systems or ERP systems to digitize their own operations. So we have these two solution sets, and the key stakeholders that we help digitize are airport cargo terminal handlers. So we have our airport cargo management system operational at over 80 plus airports globally across most continents in the world. Then we have for small to medium scale freight forwarders. I'm not talking about the DHLs, etc., but to the SME freight forwarders, we have a very light software as a service kind of ERP system. And then we do digitize, rail cargo and maritime cargo as well through our container freight station systems, as well as our rail management system. And obviously you already know about our trade facilitation or community system portfolio, which is airport cargo community platforms, port community systems, logistics e-marketplace is a new addition to our portfolio. And then we're talking about the regulatory single window system. So we have a very broad portfolio of solutions. Clearly our focus is on airport cargo community systems and the airport cargo handling systems. These are our flagship products. And when the pandemic began, there was a spell of gloom everywhere, but you know what, it turned out to be a huge blessing in disguise for us. And last year we had one of the best sales years that we have ever had. So in terms of customer additions, if you talk about air cargo community systems, I mean, you already know about Danata. So we will be clearly working with Danata and creating the next generation cargo community platform for Dubai. We also worked with about 7 airport cargo communities on the east coast of US. Atlanta, everybody knows. The others are, right now engagements in progress. So I'm not allowed to kind of reveal those names. But in terms of customer base, about 7 on the east coast of North America and about 3 on the west coast are the airport cargo communities we are currently engaged with. We have done the pilots or proof of concepts of our community platforms there. And that is one area which we see tremendous growth in. On the airport cargo community platforms, again, Bangalore Airport, which is the region's fastest growing cargo airport, and we had our community platform going live there. and creating quite transformational activities over there. Then there is another large cargo airport on the east coast of India that we have just received a letter of award from, and very soon you will see it in the press. But it's a very marquee airport. Again, one of the fastest growing and biggest airport conglomerates, Adani Airports. Well, we have signed up with them for both our community systems as well as our handling systems. And we have new customers for our handling systems. In the US, we've also started working with Menzies in Bangalore for on our handling system. Whether it is the CIS region, Africa, that's another place. Mozambique is where we have set up again an airport cargo community platform. In Kenya, we implemented our cargo handling systems, and on the port community system side. We are working in Africa. We are working in Thailand. We started several digital offerings there. We did some proof of concepts in Southeast Asia. And when you talk about our freight forwarding system, well, Reggie, that's because our market focus is small to medium scale freight forwarders. Even without any sales effort, we get about 5 to 6 customers every month, and they just come through, referrals. As well as through our website. So we got customers in Saudi Arabia, we got customers in Hong Kong, we've got customers, in Europe, we got customers in Spain. So there has been a lot that is happening. We also got our first customer for our logistics e-marketplace. This is an interesting space. After creating these communities become a breeding ground for buying and selling of logistic services, right? So we have signed up with Private Sector Foundation Uganda for creating a logistics e-marketplace there, and e-marketplace is going to be part of our community platforms as we go along, because you have communities where you have thousands of logistics companies connected today, to Kale's communities. And when they want to buy and sell, why go elsewhere? You will get, the market on the community platform itself.
Amar, I'm sure that these development in the last 18 months also turning into or translating into good revenue growth. I'm sure that you are not at liberty to discuss the revenue numbers, but in terms of growth, what has been the rate of growth in revenue you recorded in financial year 2020-2021?
When we started budgeting, pandemic was just setting in, and we thought that this is going to be a bad year, right? But we actually ended up doing 25%, better than that. And our last 5 years CAGR, the compounded annual growth rate, has been 50%. But this year we will be doubling our turnover. So this year the rate is going to be 100%. Yeah.
Okay, Amar, let me come to one of the important trend that we have seen in the pandemic. That is, the shipment visibility has been a key and growing trend in the logistic industry, and the pandemic has made logistics stakeholders to place a shipment visibility as a top priority. What are your thoughts, and how does Kale build solutions that ensure visibility and transparency through the supply chain journey from origin to destination? And today you have become not just a provider, IT solution provider to your customer, but then you are looking at trade facilitation, encouraging small and medium scale enterprises to explore new markets. So what are your thoughts to ensure that they have your customers have complete visibility and transparency of their cargo movement from origin to destination?
This is extremely important. Transparency, I would say it's a word that has become like a euphemism. People just use the word transparency and visibility, thinking that it's related only to the quality of transportation. That, okay, if I can see where my goods are, I'm happy. But it's not so. Let me tell you that this transparency and visibility is linked to hard dollars. So transparency, as I said, just beyond, something that can make you feel good, it is actually something that can save you dollars. Similarly, let's take examples of grape growers from India, who are shipping all these grapes to Italy or to France. Now, if they don't have visibility, or that their shipment is stuck somewhere in the Middle East, or at the point of origin or destination, and if those grapes don't reach either the retail stores or those wineries in time, then they're going to lose all that revenue. So, but if they could know where exactly their shipments are, then they could actually act upon it and expedite the movement of shipment, thereby saving dollars. Pharmaceuticals, temperatures excursions, all of that can lead to rejection of shipments. So visibility, actually saves a lot of dollars, and that's what we realized. So what we've done actually is, we already have these platforms. Our cargo community systems, we very proudly say, are very different from the traditional, or for that matter even some of the new generation cargo community systems, which are focused either on one sector or a few use cases, like let's say truck slot management, or maybe some electronic airway bill or something. Like unlike most of that, our cargo community systems start with exporters. So large exporters like Siemens, etc., they're all part of our platform. And then, it goes to freight forwarders, transporters. Then you've got the airports, and then airlines. And airlines always gave you tracking information. There was no rocket science into it. But to establish visibility, in these other, ex-airport sectors was very important, and whatever was happening at the airport was very important. So we have developed, tools through which, we link the exporter system to the forwarder systems and vice versa, and then the forwarder systems are connected to the airport system. So you get complete visibility of the shipment, and all of that is not just on the portal, or not just on the on your system, but you could get it on mobile. Similarly, we are also looking at developing digital corridors. All our airport customers want to connect to their partner airports, and we are looking at connecting them so that there is complete end-to-end visibility, beyond what the airline provides you as delivered to, let's say, freight forwarder kind of message. It provides you things beyond that. So Reggie, we have developed several visibility tools, and as I said, this year we also took an effort to have an Internet of Things intervention into our community platform, where we could get this information related to temperatures, and then give that visibility also to our customers.
Let me come back to your popular digital tool for cargo stakeholders. That's the airport cargo community system. A lot has been said about it. And this is actually anchored in airports to improve their operational efficiencies, bring down the cost, and eventually increase your bottom line. What are your plans to get more airports on this platform? You did mention about a number of potential airports that would come on your platform. One of the discussion that I had with Elliot Page of Atlanta Airport was, how do we create this cargo community of cargo communities? How do you create more airports into a bigger network of airports, setting global benchmarks, setting same standards? So what are your thoughts in terms of getting more airport into the system and getting them collaborate for a global network of airports?
I think Elliot was spot on, that you can connect the local communities, but the logistics supply chain goes beyond borders. And if you could connect these communities together, I mean, first you connect the stakeholders at an airport, and then you connect those airports together, or those airport communities together. That's when magic happens. That's when you can have better digital infrastructure for trade facilitation created. Let me give you an example. Just going beyond normal discussions around airway bills and transparency, just this whole fact that if the data could be reused, if you look at the way our air cargo industry works, if there's a flight going out of Mumbai to Dubai, you are filing customs declarations which is the same information to Indian customs, and then the same cargo, you're filing the same information to Dubai customs. Okay. Similarly, on the flight manifest, you're filing the same manifest information to Indian customs, and then you're filing the same manifest information in Dubai. Now, just imagine if these two were connected, two things could happen. One is this duplicate filing could, go down. That's number one. And number two, malpractices or misdeclarations, will not happen, because whatever is declared in India would be declared in the United States or in UAE, wherever the same data could be reused. So our idea is essentially, and that's our end game really. So today I really don't have to go after airports, but it's the other way around, because airports have realized that they need to set up this kind of cargo communities, and we are in discussions with about 40 plus airports and ports globally. I mean, I already mentioned that we have started work in about 14 15 of them. But the rest of the engagements, when they create communities, then we connect them together, and then it evolves into an even bigger marketplace. And as I explained to you, it creates the infrastructure for trade facilitation. I mean, cargo could move so much faster if we could eliminate these papers or this duplicate data entry. And all of this is really aligned to this vision of reducing the cargo dwell time. Today air cargo stays for 85% of the time on ground, and it's moving only 15% of the time. So it contributes to this whole vision of slowly eliminating this 85%, which is non-value adding time, right? So our idea is to create local communities at multiple airports. And we are in touch with multiple airports. We are doing this analysis of who are the best trade partners of our airport customers. So for example, Atlanta may be interested in doing such kind of connection with Amsterdam, or for that matter Mumbai or Dubai, so on and so forth, right? So we are looking at this analysis, and then if the airport at the other end doesn't have a similar platform, we can facilitate creation of this kind of a platform.
Something that fascinates me also is your solution's ability to create the digital trade corridors, and that's something that we have seen it between airports. A few years back, Kale actually launched between Mumbai and Schiphol Airport, and then it was Schiphol and Atlanta. If you typically look at India's top export commodities, maybe perishables, maybe pharmaceutical, automotive, you could create these trade lanes, digital trade lanes, to ensure that there is faster delivery of cargo. There is full transparency and visibility, which brings about cost efficiencies. So what are some of your thoughts to create this digital corridors? How do we see that your solution can actually work with directly with the shippers or manufacturers of important export commodities out of India?
As I mentioned to you earlier, last year and a half, we started working with the exporters. So what we are creating for them is like an exporter single logistic single window for an exporter. So an exporter is dealing with freight forwarders, customs brokers, trucking companies. It's getting some information from the airports, so on and so forth, right? So our idea was first to get these exporters on board our platform, provide them this kind of logistics control towers, or logistics single windows, so that they have a complete control over the logistics activities. They have the requisite visibility, where they can see where exactly their shipment is. They could gain some efficiencies by exchanging information either with the upstream stakeholders, or getting the information back, which they use for their tax filings and stuff like that. And I would like to make mention of one of the big benefits that we deliver to exporters. Is that in India, actually there was a tax regime called GST, and this IGST refunds was a big issue, because the exporters, what they used to file with tax authorities, and what is collected from customs and other entities such as airlines, shipping lines, etc., there was a mismatch in the data, and that means the tax refunds could get delayed from 90 to up to 180 days. But because we connected this community, we connected the stakeholders, the same data was reused. And Reggie, what was the benefit of that? The exporters who used to wait for millions of dollars of tax refunds for 90 to 180 days, they got their tax refunds on the third day. And why third day? Because they had to still file the information, right? So that is one thing, and the other thing is the value that you mentioned. Digital corridors. So we did one with Cargonauts between Mumbai and Schiphol, and we had we envisaged this into two phases. First phase is just shipment status information. Where the shipment is. Just exchange that status information, and we have exchanged that information to over 3,000 shipments so far. But the next phase is more interesting, where you actually exchange the actual shipment information. which means elimination of paper and additional data entry work. So that is something, that's our next phase. And we are also looking at creating standards for this kind of digital corridors. I think there are efforts happening globally, and you would soon see it in the press that standards are evolving for connecting these different communities, and what kind of information, how should it be shared, so on and so forth.
Maybe let's take an example of a pharmaceutical product produced in maybe in Goa or in Hyderabad, moving from Hyderabad airport to via Dubai hub all the way up to Sao Paulo in Brazil, for example. And you have all the airports, the touch points of airports for the cargo movement. You have all of them in your network. They are part of your cargo community system. Do you think it becomes so much easy for that cargo to get to the destination much easier and under much better control?
So it will do three things. First, it will give you complete transparency, and we are moving towards towards a philosophy of developing systems where you can actually prevent failures rather than reporting failures. So today most of the systems just report failures. Okay, this didn't happen. Okay, this shipment didn't reach in time. But what about preventing failures? So when you have these airports connected, and that this intermediate airport in Europe, this is where this pharmaceutical shipment is stuck, and now the temperature excursions have happened. And if you could give a proactive alert to either the freight forwarder who is looking at it, or to the airline staff, that is managing the transportation, and to exporter and importer as well, so that they could, act and make sure that the shipment starts moving and temperature excursions don't deteriorate the quality of goods, right? So that's number one, visibility. Number two, when you're talking about paperwork, if you had this kind of digital corridors established, then this intermediate custom station would know much in advance what is coming, whether for transit or other purposes, and advanced actions and clearances could be taken. Similarly, on the destination side as well, the information is available in advance. It can be sent to the local authorities in advance, and the cargo could move that much faster. And you could save so much of paper. And I'll talk about this whole paperless. I mean, you will hear something big in next 2 to 3 months, Reggie, where we're talking about saving 1,500 trees from just one airport. Okay, because if you can reduce just 7 to 8 copies of paper per shipment for any airport that handles up to 1 million tons cargo, you can save 1,500 trees annually.
Amar, wanted to talk about the two important partnership and deals. One was with the Dinata and the other one was Siemens coming on board. Tell us about those two important partnership, and with Dinata, when do you begin that rolling out or creating that platform for e-commerce?
So I think Danata was in some shape and form. They've been pioneer in creating broader cargo community platforms, right? I mean, community platforms existed before, but they were limited in terms of functionality. So like the airport truck management, or maybe a few terminal charges payments, etc. But Danata, in I think they began around 2007-8, around that time. They had created the first version of Kalogi, which is one of the most comprehensive community systems that we ever had, right? And now Danata also realized that after 10 years, it's time to upgrade the technology, right? And when they looked at available options, and they found that we had the vision and the technology which was pretty much aligned to what they wanted to do. So that's where we decided to partner, work together in creating really the next generation community platforms for the whole industry. Now when I'm talking about this has elements of marketplace, which Danata kind of already had, buying or booking of some 3PL services and stuff like that, as well as this whole airway bill execution process. But now we are going much beyond that. Now we are talking about sea air. Kale also brings that unique value, and most airports which have ports in the vicinity today benefit very little from that facilitation of trade between the port and the airport, because all said and done, maritime cargo is about I think about 80 to 90% of total cargo movement, right? So we are working on this sea air connectivity. We are working on creating like a regulatory single window sort of a thing to help community connect with the customs and other regulatory authorities. We are working on again the idea of a complete e-commerce kind of a platform. That's getting into what we're developing there in partnership with Donata. We are talking about creating a global network. Donata is present at several locations globally. So and again, this whole digital corridor concept that is taking shape. I mean, we have laid out a joint vision of what we want to do together. But the idea is, first do a tech upgrade. Kale's technology already has elements of, deep tech interventions. And, we're kind of looking at rolling this out over next couple of years. So we will have the first few modules delivered of the next gen platform maybe by May, June next year. When it comes to Siemens, this is again the one of the various firsts that we have done, where we actually got the exporters in the mainstream. We got the exporters. So we did two things. One is for Siemens Healthcare. We created this, they call it Smart Eye. We call it the logistics control tower or logistics single window for them. So now they actually sitting in their offices, Siemens will know that my cargo is at Bangalore airport or at Mumbai airport, and the terminal charges are paid, by my customs broker. The airline is likely to pick this cargo for this particular flight. It is exactly at this location in the warehouse, so on and so forth. So immense level of visibility is what they got, and a complete control on the logistics activities. And now we are expanding to other Siemens locations in the Far East. But it's like creating a single window for them. And the other thing that we did was also connected Siemens with this community platform, so that they could exchange data with their forwarders, brokers, as well as with the cargo terminal operators of the airports, and get information from there, which is useful for their tax filings, which is useful for their visibility. So we actually got going beyond lip service for exporters. We actually got them onto this community.
Amar, one follow-up question on the Dinata. So will this replace Kalogi, or will it enhance that?
Our core product is obviously, Kale's IPR, but each customer can call it what they want. So for example, our community platform in Mumbai is now called AMAX, Adani Mumbai, Air Cargo Exchange. It was called GMAX earlier. Bangalore Airport calls it Cargo by BLR. Atlanta calls it ATLACS, right? So it will be rebranded. I think right now it's next gen Kalogi, but it is really up to Donata to call it, what they want to call it.
So what are the technologies that you are actually keenly watching and you would eventually implement in your solutions?
Technology for the sake of technology, is just a marketing gimmick, or it's just wordplay. But we actually studied. We have a team of technologists which actually studies what's going on in the technology space, and what are the use cases for us in the air cargo sector, or in the maritime sector, or in the rail sector, where these technologies can be used. So for example, there's several deep tech interventions that we have made into our product. So if you talk about artificial intelligence, well, in Atlanta, one of the modules of our ACS is this whole truck slot management module. And there we have taken the intervention of AI. So a couple of things. So for example, if a particular truck is coming regularly to a handler's terminal, and it's a specific cargo that's going to a specific destination, then the system knows that this takes about 35 minutes to unload, right? So over a period of time, the system learns from the truck movements how much time a particular type of truck, or a particular forwarder's truck, etc., take to load or unload, and based on that, then it assigns slots. So that's the intervention of artificial intelligence, which we found very useful, and we did it in partnership with Microsoft. we built this AI engine onto our platform. We also played around with drones a little bit. So, we have our cargo handling system implemented at Delhi airport with Chalabi. And, we did evaluate two use cases there. One was drones as, something to ensure security. So these are within the warehouse, and it kind of gives, the cameras kind of monitor if there's any pilferage or anything wrong happening there. And the second use case was inventory management, so the drones could actually do inventory management and we could measure it there. We tried to do with Microsoft this whole digital corridor concept on Corda blockchain. So anyways, you can use any technology that can create immutable information infrastructure, but we tried Corda blockchain there. But that's where it is right now. There, we haven't done much over there, but we are seriously evaluating taking this forward as we move along. And then IoT, I explained to you about two use cases. One is clearly this whole geofencing use case where a truck can, like an Uber, can be located and can get checked in into an airport cargo terminal when it's in the perimeter. And secondly, tracking the temperature of pharma goods, and getting those temperatures updates and making sure that they are made available to the community. So we also have a machine learning use case where we have a service for the community called Ping, wherein the freight forwarder can just send a PDF copy onto our platform. We have an OCR mechanism, RPA, robotic process automation is what people call it. It extracts the data, it converts it into the standard messages and sends it to the handler or airline, whoever needs it. And over a period of time, the machine learns. So if there are errors in the data, like if it's a Turkish shipment and tax ID is missing, or if it's a EU shipment and postal code is missing, then the system points out that error, it is corrected, and you have 100% accuracy in data transmission.
You raised 5 million US dollars in funding June this year from Inflexor Ventures, and this is your first funding from an external investor. So, what are Kale's long-term goals? How big is your team? And how do you intend to expand, and what would be some of your important investment in the coming months?
In fact, we were self-funded for all this while, and we managed our own growth. As a startup company, we've gone through that startup journey. But yes, I mean, looking at the traction that we're getting, we thought maybe it's time to experiment a little bit with external investors, because they don't just bring money, but Inflexer also brings in a lot of value, because the fund also provides deep tech expertise. They have other companies that they've invested in which are complementary to what we do. So we are very happy to partner with a fund like Inflexer, which provides this added value, and it's not just a pure financial investor, right? So that's one. After our first fundraise, we see tremendous interest from the investing community. And in fact, as I said, Reggie, we have been growing over 50% year on year for the last 5 years, and slated to double our turnover this year. So our team size has grown 3 times in last 3 years. So we were about 100 people, now we are about 300 people. And thanks to pandemic, we don't have to create more offices. In fact, we gave away one, out of the many that we had, right? So the idea is maybe, I mean, right now we don't need funds, but looking at the demand explosion that we are experiencing across several sectors, because we are not really dependent on just one sector. We have diversified our risks, and now there is tremendous demand coming from all sectors. So who knows? We may do another fundraise very soon. But in terms of and that's what we've been telling all the investors as well as our employees. Look, building logistics communities, building digital logistics communities is not our business. It is our passion, and we will do it. And this whole vision of creating communities globally and linking those together is something that we have taken as our mission, and we will do it, funding or no funding.
Amar, thank you so much for talking to us, and I really like to wish you all the best so that you create more cargo communities around the world and pursue your passion all the more vigorously.
Thank you very much, Reggie. Thank you for having us. And as I said in the beginning, great job with both your series and wish you all the best.
That was Amar More, Chief Executive Officer of Kale Logistics Solutions. I hope you enjoyed watching this interview. Give us a like and share it among your social and professional networks. Also, if you are not a subscriber of our YouTube channel, please do subscribe now and click the bell icon so that you do not miss any of our new videos. Join me next Thursday for a fresh and new episode of Logistic Tech Dialogues presented by Kale Logistics Solutions. Until next Thursday, take good care of yourself and be safe. Thanks for watching.